Hello, this is Nancy Smith, Executive Director with the Shawano Country Chamber of Commerce, and this is another episode of our Small Business Survival Series. And today we have with us Eddie Shepard, who is the Administrator for the City of Shawano. And Eddie is going to be talking about their new HOPE grant that they have available for our small businesses, which we're really excited about. So hello, Eddie.
Hi, Nancy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. All right, tell us all about this wonderful grant that you have available.
Sure. We're really excited about this because we think it really will help businesses as they're struggling with, obviously the COVID-19 issues and a lot of closures and business being down. So just as kind of a high level overview, the city's grant program that we've put together is intended to supplement a lot of the federal programs that you're seeing out there. So the Paycheck Protection and the Economic Injury Program, a lot of those have been out. They've been getting a lot of publicity as far as what they're going to do to help businesses. But in speaking with a lot of our local businesses, we know that there's obviously need for any kind of resources out there. And so what our idea was is that we could tailor ours towards helping businesses with their true occupancy costs, their true building related costs. So, your rent, your mortgages, your utilities, your insurance, things that are required to basically keep the lights on and keep the businesses rolling. And so that's the way we felt like we could have the best impact, because obviously our dollars are much more limited than the federal dollar grants. The feds are printing money. We have identified some resources through our TIDs, some of our high performing TID districts, that we feel like we can allocate a good portion of resources to this grant program. And so what we're kind of setting it off with is we're trying to $5,000 or up to 60 days of occupancy costs. And so what we're asking through the program is, some basic financial information. And I can kind of go over that in a little bit, but really the intention of our grant program is to get money into the hands of our businesses as fast as we possibly can to help cover their costs as things are not open, or if their business is drastically slowed. So we've been trying to reach out in any way we can to let people know about this. It does have a relatively short window. That's intentional because we're trying to turn the money around very quickly.
Awesome. So I understand you have the application and what that looks like.
I do. I can share my screen here and kind of go over that. You see that there?
Yes.
Okay. So the first is kind of the grant outline, the programmatic outline of what we're trying to achieve. As I mentioned, we're talking about $5,000 grants or up to 60 days for occupancy related expenses. We would tailor that to businesses that have, already reached out for the PPP and the EIDL and the other federal programs, and we're attempting to help supplement those additional programs. A lot of those are tailored towards personnel related expenses. I know there's provisions that 25% of it can be used for other expenses. But what we're putting forward is very straightforward, that these programs are designed to help directly with your building related costs. And so just kind of looking at the eligibility, the first thing is obviously it needs to be within the city limits because it's city funded program. Must be current on all real estate and personal property taxes, so those are not owing from previous years. Must provide proof of application to one of the two other federal programs that we already mentioned, or proof of the intent to file. We do know that there are some businesses that didn't apply because they knew that they would not qualify. So we are having conversations, and we are directly wanting those folks to reach out as well. But the goal behind this is you want to try to put the money behind the businesses that are doing everything they can to survive, and you want to help them in any way possible. So we're trying to reach out to those businesses who are taking the most steps to protect themselves and work directly with them. Same reason for wanting to see previous 12-month financial statements. We want to make sure that the business is solvent in the first place. Obviously, a lot of the so we'll be able to glean from that, how the business is doing the previous year prior to the COVID issues that have come forward. And then also providing documentation of the previous 2 months occupancy costs. Again, since that's what we're tailoring it to, we thought that would be the easiest way for businesses to show us what those expenses are, is just attach receipts of your payments for the different things. And we've got about 10 applications in already. And what we've seen, we're very happy to see that we're getting exactly what we were hoping to get, the information that we're getting. So we think the guidelines that we put out there must have made sense to people. I haven't had a whole lot of questions, but like I said, I have, as of about noon today, I've got 9 applications. So people are already reaching out, submitting things, and we're really happy to hear that. And then lastly, just a 2-month budget projection for both May and June, because that's really what the 2 months we're talking about that we would help to cover those expenses. And I want to stress that, even this is not tied to the Safer at Home order. That's been a question I've gotten, is if the Safer at Home order, were to go away tomorrow, is that going to affect the city's grant? It won't. And the reason behind that is because even if you were to change that tomorrow, if the Safer at Home order were to go away tomorrow, we know that business is not going to pop right back up to normal. And so we know that even if we're able to get ahead of this thing and move on and get back to normal midsummer, we know that it's not going to be a normal summer for our businesses. And so we were very clear when we put this program together that no government action or no improvement or getting worse is going to affect our program. It's there. The funds are going to be available, and we're going to make the decisions based on that. So getting back to some of the submittal information. So I'm asking them to be addressed to me. They can be submitted by mail to our 127 South Sawyer address, or by email. We created a special email box that's able to hold larger documents, so people can submit everything electronically to citygrant@cityofshawano.com. Or if people want to physically bring it by, we have a large drop box outside. So there's 3 ways for people to get us the application materials. And so again, if anyone has any questions, what's not on there is our number here. They should be directed to me, Eddie Shepard, City Administrator. You can reach me at 715-526-6138, or by email at eShepherd, SHEPPARD, @cityofshawano.com. For any questions, you can reach me out there. Also, all that information is on the website, where we have prominently placed information about this grant program on our front page. It's it should guide you through very clearly. This document we're walking through is on there, as well as the application. And so we're asking for the applications to be due by Monday, May 4th at 4 p.m. So about a week from now. And again, we know that's sort of a tight turnaround, but what we're hearing from our smaller businesses is that they need the quick turnaround, because even some of the federal money that they've gotten, they don't have it yet. And so they're having to operate on savings or they're scraping by. And so that's why we did it that way. And we also wanted to have a due date period, because our intent, and again, this is our intent, we don't know the extent of the applications we're going to get. The intent is that we can try to help everyone at least a little. Being that it's city dollars, we don't want to be picking and choosing which businesses get it or don't get it. Now, obviously, there is some criteria that businesses have to meet, but our intent is for all businesses that meet the applicability requirements, that we're able to do something for them. Again, that's going to be heavily driven by the volume of the applications we get, because we don't have huge sums of money. But we do realize that people are putting in the effort to submit these applications. We want it to be worthwhile. And so what we'll do between Monday, May 4th, when we have the application deadline, and Friday, May 8th, is try to evaluate them to the best we can based on need that the businesses have submitted. And then hopefully we can get information out to them right away about what funds they can expect in the next couple of days.
Awesome.
So yeah, so this is the programmatic overview. The application that's available online is a fillable form. It looks just like this. So we obviously ask for some information about the business, contact information, years in business, how many employees, and then getting into some of our criteria. Are you current on property taxes? This one, how has your business been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic? For those that are closed and been deemed non-essential, or even those that are doing, minimum curbside, 0 to 25% of normal business. Those are the ones that we're anticipating to see kind of, they're really not doing any business at all. They might be doing a few sales here and there via order, but for the most part, they're shut down. And then we know there's some businesses in a more of a middle category where, they're maybe partially open or open in a modified capacity, like a lot of our restaurants maybe, where they can do, takeout, but they can't do dine in. So we put those in like the 25 to 75% of normal business capacity. And then there are some businesses that they haven't really been affected, or maybe maybe a little bit, but they're still operating at 75 to 100%. So we're asking businesses to kind of check where they feel they are. Obviously, we can kind of tell by looking at some of the financial statements about where they really are, but that at least gives us kind of like a quick look at, okay, where are they in the process of how has this been affecting them? I think that'll be important for us to know. And then, of course, we ask them, are you adhering to the safer at home rules and guidelines? This is something that's come up quite a bit, unfortunately, that, the way the city approaches this is we're adhering to the governor's executive safer at home order. And so, we're asking businesses to comply with that. Now, are we trying to work with businesses as best we can, come up with creative ideas for how they can continue to run? Absolutely. We don't want to be the safer at home police. Unfortunately, it's fallen to us to make sure that we're meeting those requirements. And I know that this one has been kind of it's been a fairly obvious talking point out in the community. And unfortunately, it has fallen onto the city to do that. But we are asking folks to please, adhere to the guidelines, because we don't want to have to make it more than what it is. And so we do ask if businesses are adhering to it on the application. And then if they've applied to any of the PPP or the EIDL programs, and if not, why not? I've already seen some come through that have not, but have perfectly good explanations for why they haven't. And so we will consider them obviously in the application process. I mean, if you weren't open, or if you don't have the type of employees that would have qualified, it probably wasn't worth it for you to spend a bunch of time putting an application together if you knew you weren't going to be eligible. And then this one kind of seems like an odd question, but there's a purpose to it. So Covantage has been one of the banks that's been identified by the state, and they've gotten about 1.2 million to offer in small grants and loans to their local businesses if they have an existing relationship with a business. And so the purpose of us putting this question on our application is to make sure that if they are Covantage, that they are aware that those funds are available to them as well. It's not to exclude them from eligibility for ours. It's just to make sure that they know that there are other funds out there as well. And if they, do have an existing loan with Covantage but haven't applied or don't know about the grant program, then we can get them in touch with folks over at Covantage to see if they can't find some more money. That's the purpose of that question on there. So then we get down to, are there any other costs related to your physical location that you would like us to consider? Obviously occupancy costs range depending on the type of business. So if there's anything that they want us to consider, then they can write in there and then submit, additional receipts or proof of expense with the application. And then, feedback, any other information that people would like to provide so we can better understand the status or how this is impacting their business. I think it helps us to know where the real pain is on our business side, so that we know how to best utilize the funds that we're investing back into this grant program. So anything that people are willing to share about how this is affecting them that maybe we aren't thinking about, we're asking that from them as well. And then just kind of the bottom of is just a checkbox to make sure you've included the things that we've asked for. So copy of, if you have applied, copy of application to the EIDL or the PPP program, 12-month financials, documentation of previous 2 months occupancy costs, and then the estimated 2-month budget. And then at the bottom, just basically a signature that you agree to be sharing us with your financial information, and that we promise we won't share with anybody else. And so we tried to keep the application very straightforward and simple, and base it around the same information that a lot of businesses are having to bring forward for the other federal programs. And so far, I haven't heard a lot of feedback that there was an issue with the application. I think it's been, like I said, we've had 9 turn around already. So seems like it's fairly straightforward information for businesses to bring forward. So that's kind of a quick rundown. I know I talked fast and through it, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it does seem very straightforward. And as a person who's filled out, a few grants here and there, it seems pretty easy to fill out. So that's excellent. And how many businesses do you hope to be able to help with this?
That's the $1 million question, I suppose. When there's about $350,000 worth of increment available in TID 6, which is our TID that's feeding this program. Now, none of that money was intended, for this program initially. However, we don't have any immediate projects that we are planning on utilizing those funds for. So depending on how many applicants we get, we could use a substantial portion of that money. So I'm hesitant to put a cap on the number until I see where the applicants are, but the pot of money that we're drawing from is about 350,000.
Okay. And then what is the timeline if someone applies and they are granted funds? How soon can they expect to receive them?
We should be able to let everybody know by Friday, May 8th, if they're eligible, and then we would try to get funds out the following Monday or Tuesday.
Yes, we certainly appreciate the city's willingness to help our small businesses. We really appreciate the partnership that the chamber has had with the city. That's awesome. And yeah, from what I've heard from businesses right now is if they've applied for other financing, grants or loans, it's just not coming quick enough. So I think this program is excellent in that you've put it together very quickly. The turnaround is very fast, and we really appreciate how you're going to help our businesses in that.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to be able to help. We know that it's a stressful time for a lot of our businesses, and they've been, as the mayor said many times, they've been there for the community through sponsorships and all sorts of things. So it's nice that we can try to do this in return and try to help them get through this tough time. That's definitely the way
Yes,
our council feels.
excellent, and we appreciate that. Well, thank you for your time, Eddie. I hope this gets to a lot of businesses and we can help a lot. And thank you again so much for, reaching out to help our businesses. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. Appreciate the partnership.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, see ya.